Hi, I'm Greg Cummings, CEO of Power100 and your host today on PowerChat. We are super pumped. We have Bryan Bauman, CEO of Level 10, and Brad Yoho, COO of Yoho and Associates. You probably are familiar with both of these guys. We're going to have a great conversation today, in particular around the industry as a whole, and then we're going to dial it in to specifically these guys' areas of expertise. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us today. It's going to be a fun show.
Pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Always a pleasure to be with you, Greg.
Awesome. Love it. Let's just jump right into it because I don't think anybody really cares about how I'm doing, right? So first and foremost, Bryan, I kind of want to start with you. Let's just kind of set the stage where you guys are getting ready to put on a Level 10 event, right? Your first Level 10 event. Now, I know that you've done a bunch of events in the past with other organizations, and the event space is not something that is a first for you by any stretch of the imagination. But I'm curious, what prompted you and your team to say, you know what, we are going to go ahead and put a stake in the ground and do a full in-person event? Was there something that you saw or that you're trying to proactively stay ahead of, that you're trying to provide a solution for, or what actually prompted you to say, you know what, let's go ahead and get this thing done? Because an event, as everybody knows, is no small feat to get it off the ground.
No, it's not. I started noticing a trend with prospective client partners that would come to us, or vendors or partners, and they would talk with Rich and we would explain how we're different. And I know everybody says that, but when you listen to Rich Harshaw explain it and you get down into the brass tacks of it, it's truly mind blowing to see how people react to it. So Rich and I sat down and we said, we've got to get a bigger venue. That's the bottom line. We need to get this in front of more people so they know what they're looking at, because people think they understand websites and CCO and OTT and media. They think they understand that. And that's because there's a lot of people out there that are kind of saying the same regurgitated BS. We don't do that. And we're getting 150, 200 people in a room. We're going to have them hear from Rich over a course of 2 days. This is not a normal type thing. When we've done this in the past, they've been 10 to 12 hour days. We're trying to keep it shorter. This time, keep it to 8 to 9 hours. But that's the bottom line. We just were sick and tired of having one-to-one conversations where people's minds were being blown, and we needed to get the message out there to a bigger group.
That's awesome. So is the need on the execution side of the solution, or is the need on waking people up and they just don't understand it?
It's more the second. The execution side, look, anybody can build a website. That's not difficult. You can do it on GoDaddy, for heaven's sake. What needs to be understood is what that website says, how it's properly SEO'd to understand the changing trends with AI and Google, how to integrate that as an overall marketing strategy so it's cohesive across your pay-per-click, your Facebook advertising, specifically for home improvement companies, your Google My Business Local, search, all that. And the execution is not difficult per se, but how you are speaking to people and differentiating yourself from them using an identity-based content method is the harder part. And that's what we specialize in.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's definitely a big need. There's a lot of, I guess it's kind of like anything. There's a lot of pretenders out there, right? That say they're going to be able to deliver on certain things, and then the execution always falls off, right? Not always, but a lot of times falls off. So with what you guys have done and our due diligence, joining the effort here that you guys are putting on, we see you guys as a game changer for that space, specifically as times evolve and as AI becomes more of a common use, specifically on the long language models, right? The chat GPTs of the world and things like that. So I know you guys are staying innovative, adaptive. And so that's one of the biggest things that I'm looking forward to hearing from Rich, yourself, and the rest of the team. I want to kick it over to Brad here for a second, because Brad, your background in events is probably one of the deepest, exposure in the industry. I mean, my God, you grew up in it, right? There's a world there that you understand and you appreciate, of putting on a great event over and over again, like you have done for so many years. What are you seeing that has really changed the game for contractors in the last 12 to 18 months, that maybe gets their attention to get out and go to an event like Level 10?
Yeah, so thanks for that, Greg. I think the biggest thing right now on people's minds is lead generation right now. People for the most part, are very concerned about the number of leads diminishing, the cost of an issued lead rising. I mean, we spoke with several companies over the last couple of weeks, and their cost of an issued lead has gone up dramatically. It's over $1,000 now. So, if you combine those two elements, this is needed content right now. And the best way to educate yourself is to come to an in-person event. Webinars are great. Podcasts are amazing educational experiences. But to be at an in-person event, there's something about the camaraderie that happens. There's something about the communication in person that happens that you can't replicate. And that's why in-person events are so important for the industry. I would recommend each person in this industry to go to at least one in-person event a year. There's a multitude of events out there. You need to go to at least one a year. And we're going to be at Operation Lead Surge, and we're very excited.
I want to go back to what you kind of initially started to talk about with the lead gen, where people are concerned about this, right? Cost of leads going up. Do you see any specific behavior, technology, or strategy maybe that these companies are missing that are reaching out to you? Is there anything that is a commonality that they're not doing, or maybe they're trying to do too much of, where that lead cost is becoming, let's just face it, not profitable?
Well, I think there's so many tech solutions out there right now, Greg, that it's a little overwhelming for people. Just in the last couple of years, I think I hear now of a new tech company coming into the space every week. So I think a lot of times people don't really know or understand where they should begin, where they should start, what the best course of action is. Sometimes they're using too many tech solutions at the same time. Sometimes they're jumping into a tech solution too quickly before they really understand it and how it can support the current personnel that they have. So I think there's a lot there to think about. Listen, this is all in all, though, the best time when you talk about something like speed to lead, being able to follow up with people instantaneously. This is the best time that there's ever been in the industry, and you can do it, but you have to do your research. You have to make sure that you're partnering with the right tech partner that can provide you with the support you need to grow it and scale it and integrate with whatever else you're doing in your business. At the end of the day, that's what matters.
Yeah, it really does. And, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I want to, while you're talking, it kind of prompted me to, I have a follow-up here to Bryan, going back to like kind of these light bulb moments, or, realizing that somebody has too many tech options, or they're too thin on their marketing. They have 5 different agencies running marketing. They haven't even, touched their website. Is there, Bryan, in particular with you, brother, like, how does this level 10 event, like if I go to the event, right, and I'm a contractor, how does that tie in? If I was your customer, how does this event and what we're going to be doing, the activity there, how does that tie into like the long-term vision of what you're able to do for me as a contractor or your client?
Great question. So Brad hit the nail on the head. In general, leads going up, which is why our main headline for the event is 200 to 300 leads a month, basically is what you're shooting for. The reality is that if you're a current customer of ours, you're going to come and you're going to hear us talk about all the same things we've always talked about. Here are the things you don't know. Here are the questions you don't know to ask. And here's the answers. But that's a very small part of it. We're going to go into, now here's what you do exactly. Here is how you set up speed to lead properly. Here's how you do your SEO properly. Here's the things you need to understand so that a person that maybe is just using our media side of things goes, oh, I had no idea that OTT is even a thing. Let me look at that. We're going to talk about every aspect of lead generation for the goal of 200 to 300, maybe even 500 leads a month at a very reasonable cost per lead of somewhere between 125, 150 cost per lead, depending on the medium. And we are going to bring the receipts. We're going to bring the reports. We're going to bring the videos that we use. We're going to give you the examples. We're going to have a workbook. we're going to literally, we call it drinking from a fire hose. You're going to be drinking from a fire hose for 2 days and longer if you want, if you're some of the VIP members, and show you not just what you don't know, but exactly how to do what you don't know what to do and what it needs to look like at the end.
What do you mean longer than 2 days if you're a VIP?
We have some special, if you go to operationleadsurge.com, you can find some special VIP options. There's going to be some dinners in the evening. There's going to be some breakout sections. There's going to be some follow-up coaching and training with Rich one-to-one afterwards, depending on the type of ticket you purchase.
Very cool. Very cool. So from a VIP perspective, what's actually going to be covered there? Like on the one-on-ones with Rich, where are those going to be? What if I'm thinking about, if I'm already attending the event scheduled to and thinking about maybe getting more involved, or maybe I'm hearing about it for the first time, what does that look like?
So there's a couple of different options. At the event, there's going to be some later evening meetings that will be a small format, like a breakout session type things, where it's going to be 5 to 7 people. And when I say it'll go as long as it needs to go, it'll go as long as it needs to go. I've been in those with Rich into the wee hours of the morning sometimes, but it's a sitting across from him scenario and him asking you questions like, hey, Greg, tell me about what you're doing for Speed to Lead. Oh, well, we've got this gal named Patricia and she calls the leads that come in. Okay, did you see the part in the thing where we talk about AI texting and emailing and following up and scheduling, that kind of thing? And then after the event, it's going to be phone call coaching type sessions, Zoom, obviously not just phone call, where there's specific outcomes they're going to be trying to achieve. Like, hey, we talked about this last time. I showed you what to do. I wrote this for you. Did you do it? Great. Now let's go to the next step. So from everything from lead generation to sales and everything in between.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. I want to go back to Brad because you're pinging me here and on what some of Brad's areas of expertise with everything that they do at Yoho and Associates. And, at first when I saw it, I was like, oh, Brad's putting his name on this, the Yoho name. They have an event. You guys have an event. And at first I was like, okay, this is cool. A partnership, it's kind of a balance. He's operating on the sales side, the hiring side, things like that, kind of arming the gates, where you're kind of having the engine of marketing, right? Starting with the storytelling was really the core of level 10. And then from there, it's able to blossom. And so, it really seems like a good fit here. But Brad, from your perspective, what made you put your name on the level 10 event here?
I mean, we always look for people who can kind of align with gaps that we have in our services. And what I mean by that is we're a full-scale consultation firm as far as what we provide for the industry at Dave Yoho Associates. But there's certain things we don't do. There's certain things we don't focus on. There's certain things that other companies can use their best practices to really accelerate for businesses. And we've been partnering with Rich and Level 10 for several years. We've done the podcast numerous times. My father's done the podcast before. We've done webinars. So we felt like this was a great fit. We had Rich speak at one of our conferences, and I'm going to be speaking at their Operation Lead Surge conference. So, it's all about finding gaps and how you can partner with a business that can help companies in a way that you can't. And Level 10 can do that.
That's awesome. And so what are you going to be talking about when you're on stage at Level 10? What could the guests expect from you? I know you do at Yoho Associates, you guys do a plethora of things very, very well. But where are you going to dial it down? What are you going to be delivering to the guests at Level 10's event?
Yeah, so I'm going to be talking about recruiting and hiring specifically. And I know that may seem a little odd since this is a conference on leads, but it's a very timely and important topic right now. People are cutting back on the cost of their marketing. People are also cutting back on the cost of their recruiting and hiring, unnecessarily so. In many cases, we see it all the time. It's a shame when a business decides to devalue the investment in their personnel. That is the most important part of your business, is your people. At the end of the day, you can have every tech solution in the world. If you don't have the right people in place in the right roles in your business, it really doesn't matter. So I'm going to be talking about the DISC profile specifically, which is a behavioral tool that can assist people in matching someone as a right fit for a right position. I think there's a misnomer out there that it's a test or a pass or fail instrument. It's not that. It's a tool, just like any tool can be used correctly or incorrectly. And we like to teach our people to incorporate it into their recruiting and hiring processes to match the right person with the right position.
Yeah, I have worked with people. I've gone to offices and done interviews. I'm going to leave the names off of it here, but they have your DISC assessment on every single desk. So not only are they using it to identify the right people to interview and then ultimately help the process, they are also taking it a step further and truly utilizing it in their employee development and their coaching, motivating, and disciplining, if you will, for lack of better words, right? So it's really exciting to see what that DISC assessment does. And if you guys don't know what Brad and his team do with the DISC assessment, it is very strong, and they can help you. They can hold your hand all the way through it to help, all the way through with your team, or, you can use it if you've done it before. They are definitely a custom solution for you on that DISC assessment. It is very, very important. And I agree wholeheartedly with what you said before, Brad, is like, and I see Bryan over there shaking his head when you were talking about it, is like, if we have the website, if we have the leads, if we have everything built, but we don't have the right people, right? We are never going to be able to achieve what we want long term. So there is a perfect fit there. And I do think it's a perfect, you said it doesn't seem right, but it does when you really make sense of it. When you look at this holistically, when the whole event's tied together, I think it's really cool. So I just want to go back to Bryan here as we kind of wrap up. Bryan, what are you? I want to look at the future here. I want to maybe step away from the events and all the stuff that you guys, all your accolades and what you're so good at, and I kind of want to look at your crystal ball, because your perspectives are so valuable. You all talk and work with some of the best companies in the industry. So, Bryan, what are you excited? What are you most excited about over the next 12 or 18 months, let's say, in the industry? Where do you see the biggest opportunity? What are you preparing for from a professional standpoint?
All right, so I don't want to let too much out of the bag that's going to be sort of explained at the event, but it's going to be one simple topic, and that's how AI is going to change the world of marketing, lead generation, and sales moving forward. Now, I won't speak to the sales portion. That's definitely the Yoho side. They have that kind of nailed down, but from a marketing and lead generation side of things, AI is already changing the landscape, but it is accelerating at such an exponential rate that when you hear what we have to talk about and we show you what we're creating, when we show you the results that it's getting, the crystal ball looks like there is nobody in the industry that's understanding and has spent the man hours, the blood, sweat, and tears, the talking with people that talks Elon Musk level intelligence about AI that we have. And we're going to share a lot of that with you at Operation Lead Surge. And so that's what I'm most excited about, is showing people what they don't know yet about AI and where it's already at and where it's heading. I'm going to say in the next 6 to 12 months, the entire landscape of search and media and even television is totally different based on AI and its changes.
I agree. But I'm curious, what does success look like for an organization in 18 months? Like, if we were to say, okay, we are 18 months from right now, what does the most successful organization look like?
They have a completely automated sales system, lead generation system, follow-up system that's AI supported, that generates between 200 and 500 quotable leads per month at a cost per lead of $100 to $150 a lead.
Okay, I love it. Brad, last question. Well, maybe, I don't know. We'll see. We're closing in here. We're getting to the end. But as somebody that really, your event space and your experience with working in the weeds with these contractors and people, where do you see the biggest opportunity for companies in today's market over the next 12 months?
I think technology is big. I want to echo something that Bryan just said. I think you're going to have an opportunity. Companies are going to have an opportunity to really use the right tech platforms from a marketing standpoint, from a lead gen standpoint, from a lead management standpoint, to link marketing and sales together. Now, I don't believe that AI, at least not anytime in the near future, can replicate what an in-home salesperson does. That's something that you will hear the experts talk about. That's not something that I see happening. So if you're asking me what the biggest opportunity is, it is kind of focusing on the sales side of the business, because I do think that a lot of people are going to be pouring their efforts into marketing, a lot of the major players in the industry, and deservedly so. But there is still kind of a lack of consistent sales development that we see in these organizations, and consistent retraining that we see in these organizations. So I think there's an opportunity there for companies to differentiate themselves on the sales side of the business.
Wait a minute. So you're telling me, Brad, that once a company figures it out, it doesn't just stay with you?
That's not how learning and education works.
Yeah. So what
Down.
I see is a perfect combination of what y'all said. I think what Bryan said is going to be standard as far as automation, AI, efficiency. In 18 months, if you're not there on your operational side, on your marketing side, I think you're going to struggle. I think it's going to be difficult to compete on price, because you're no longer comparing apples to apples, right? And I think the differentiator in 18 months is going to be the organizations that absolutely dialed in on emotional connection in selling home, in home selling. And so when we are able to really merge those two together with the great people, hiring the right people, because there is going to be a major hiring opportunity here to upgrade, your staff, because at the end of the day, the AI is going to allow you to free up some capital, and you need to invest that capital in the right people, because the fight isn't right now. It is going to be in 18 months, 24 months. That's when the real battle is going to begin. And so you got to align your troops and really prepare for your long-term success, however your new organization looks like, because it will look incredibly different in 24 months than it does right now. So that's why I want to echo what Brad said earlier, getting to at least one event a year in person, getting out of your office, understanding what happens when you leave your office. Also, when you leave your office, what are you hearing that you've never heard before? That's the beauty of events, is you hear things that you've never heard before. If I get on a webinar, I'm going to know the topic. I'm going to know who's talking. I'm going to have an idea of what's going on, right? But a lot of times at these events, the 1, 2, 5, 6, 7 takeaways come from the coffee machine, or not machine, whatever, the coffee station, or a dinner, or a different scenario. And you're like, holy cow, like, you guys are actually doing that? Like, that seemed like science fiction to me, right? So then those types of partnerships, those types of friendships really evolve. Couldn't agree more with you guys. I couldn't be more excited to be a part of this event as well, because of great leaders, great speakers, influencers like y'all putting it on. The industry definitely should be thanking you for putting this event together, and excited to be there. Our cameras are going to be there filming it, all that fun stuff. So we're going to end it. Winning predictions. Whoever knows who's going to win the Super Bowl, let's hear it right now. It's Friday, for the record, Friday, August 8th.
Detroit Lions.
I'm going with Buffalo this year.
Buffalo. All right. And I'm going with Tampa Bay. I can't sleep on my boys. So, all right. I appreciate you guys for being here. Thanks for taking the time. Look forward to seeing you in where are we going to be again? What city? Philadelphia. We will see you guys in Philadelphia, September 11th and 12th. Looking forward to it. And then thanks for joining us, guys. Follow us, do the likes, comments, all that fun stuff that y'all do on social media in today's world. And until next time, as always, y'all, power up.